welcome to the Sigma Update, the show where we talk about things that have happened in the Ergo community throughout the weeks. Hey CW, welcome.
Hey mate, pleasure to be back here again. I haven't seen your lovely face for a little while, so it's great to be able to catch up and chat about what's going on in the ecosystem.
I've been excited to do this, CW. I've been missing you quite a bit.
Yeah, it's been a little while, so it's good to be back.
It is. All right, let's dive in. First thing first is 2 weeks ago, the Sigmanauts have run their voting. We run it once a month for all the members that or non-members that have submitted applications or been nominated. And this month we brought in 10 new members, or 8 new members, and promoted 2. So 10 promotions, 10 introductions. Really cool. So I'm just going to bang off the names of the new Sig cans to start. CW, bang off the Sigmanaut upgrades. We have Death Grip Prison. We have Pulsars. You guys know Pulsars. We have Setvin, who's been very active in chat as well. We have Austin Milbarge, which is Mikey CTC1, also very active. Zimulacra, Decentralize, Ergo, and Aspects, who's also, I guess he goes by Aspects, not the other name. You might see him in Discord a little bit. But welcome, SigCans. We've got a meeting tomorrow, but you won't see this until after, I guess. So hopefully you guys come to the first meeting where we can introduce you to the rest of the Sigmanauts and SigCans. CW, you want to take the Sigmanauts upgrades?
Yep. Also, we have voting the promotion into the Sigmanaut group themselves wholly. We have Wombo, welcome mate, and also Rust in my eye. For those who don't know Rust, he's one who's sort of pretty avid doing the podcasts, and Wombo is he's a very avid community member as well, jumping on throughout the ecosystem, predominantly making a lot of comments on videos. Actually, you'll see him in the AMA, weekly AMA, always in there chucking up some questions and bits and pieces. But welcome, gentlemen, and all the SigGans, congratulations for being accepted, and hopefully you have a nice time here in the Sigmanaut group.
It's super exciting. And anybody who wants to join or is interested, if you go to the Sigmanauts Twitter, the link is right there to read all about the Sigmanauts and the Sigmanaut program, and the application link is at the bottom of that what's it called, webpage. Okay, let's talk about 2 things before we go to the interview, CW. The first thing we'll try to talk about is who's who in the ecosystem, bring back that old segment. And there's been a new guy poking his nose around in Ergo that I want to discuss and pick your brain about exactly what is being proposed. And that new guy is Dan, not our Dan, not the Dan that we see on the NFT leaves kind of stuff. Exactly. This is Dan, and he's trying to find somebody to build him something that is essentially a contract where you lock up your funds for a certain amount of time that offers some sort of return in the end after locking them up. But CW, you have some more specifics about what kind of this project is similar to in other ecosystems. You mind chatting about that a second?
Yeah, so just to kick things off, he's actually put a proposal out there, like you just mentioned. He's seeking a developer for, I think it's 1,500 SIG USD off the top of my head. Yeah, so quite a significant amount of money in some respect. But what the proposal is basically, in essence, a money machine. So you could probably think of it as a bit of a degen play, where some might want to put their funds in, lock it up, but then reap the benefits for people who come afterwards. So in essence, it's kind of replicating what the guys on Hex are doing. But what that does is it attracts a certain user base. There is profits incentive there, but as with everything that we sort of promote here and in the Ergo ecosystem, basically know your assumptions, what you're getting into, anything like that. So the cool thing about Ergo, it's an open ecosystem. Anyone's welcome to come in and build whatever they want, propose whatever they want to do. It's the beauty of having an open ecosystem. That's the cool thing about it. But ultimately, if you're a user and you're interacting with these sort of types of tooling and dApps and interacting within the ecosystem in this respect, by all means, yeah, know your assumptions and what you're getting into.
Yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing about Ergo too, is that, he came in and proposed this and immediately got a lot of shit for it. I mean, that's what the community does, and they check stuff. They're skeptical about things, and they move on from there. But I mean, there's also the idea that, you know, as this is ideally a pyramid kind of structure, it's also a gambling structure in that you try to get in first, you try to get more people after you, and you try to you get out before them because your lock is done before them. But by that
Yep.
time, the last person in is going to be the person that suffers the most, because all the liquidity is going to be toast
Yeah.
by then, and your gains are not going to be anything by then. So yeah, exactly. Know your assumptions. We're going to see a lot of these kind of things come in where, you know, like we say all the time, the barrier of entry to Ergo is super simple compared to like EVM or other chains. So you're going to see people come in maybe with a little bit of coding experience that can build these kind of locking contracts or these kind of ideas.
Yep.
So just be vigilant, you know, keep an eye on it. Nothing stops people from building anything and promoting it. But yeah.
That's it. Just with the core community values, I guess everyone sort of upholds. It's just basically request that the code is open source so people can see what's actually going on behind the scenes. And if not, just think of it as a scam and interact with it appropriately. Because ultimately, being a black box, no one can ultimately see what's going on behind the scenes. So just ring true to sort of what everyone else sort of promotes within the ecosystem, and that's in high regard as well. And that's having an open source ecosystem, which is pretty cool.
Very cool. All right, let's hop onto the new news of the week, and this just happened real fast. Within a couple days, you kicked this off, CW, right? Was this your fault?
I did. I'm a little bit guilty of that, actually. So how did it come about? I actually saw that one of the Ergo community members, you'll see them on Twitter. They're pretty avid Twitter, active on Twitter, and it's Hollow. And he's involved with a couple of other different communities as well. And actually saw that, I think it was CCX, so Conceal Network got listed. I believe it was those guys. And I saw a like from that. So I just instantly turned around and had a bit of a quick look of what they are, and basically a new privacy oriented exchange. So I just basically reached out and said, when Ergo, and got a reply near instantly. And what was it? A couple of days, basically, they jumped into
like a day and a half, the shot of a node being fired up.
Yeah, they jumped into Discord and had a bit of a discussion with the community and everything. And lo and behold, Ergo's listed on their exchange, 7Seas exchange.
And the cool thing about 7Seas is, right, no KYC. Still have to, I think they're working on dual factor. So again, know your assumptions, know your risks there. But from the interface that I just jumped on and saw, it's got a nifty little, at least for now, has a nifty little order book system where you can literally see and buy a specific buy. If somebody has X amount of ERG listed for X amount, you can click that buy button or click the sell button for people requesting that. Very similar to the look of Muesli Swap on ADA, if anybody's familiar with that, how that started out. So
yeah, anyone who's familiar with Trade Ogre, basically the same scenario that's set up there. Same premise. No KYC, privacy oriented. So they've got a number of privacy coins listed. So it's great to see people taking on that responsibility to look after the privacy oriented sort of community. But also, once again, just to reiterate the fact of the know your assumptions. They are a new exchange, so welcome aboard, but time will tell in regards to reputations and things like that. So just something to be wary of.
And you know, if you want to play around with it a little bit, go ahead and throw some sell orders or buy orders on there, just to test it out for small amounts. You know, that's the beauty about Ergo or any crypto, for instance, is just pop a couple Ergo offer or a couple Ergo sell and get used to it.
Yeah.
Doesn't sell, then you have the experience and you know how to do it, and you're good for the next time.
Yeah, most definitely. I'll have to admit, after this call, I'm going to jump on there and have a bit of a play myself.
That's a lie, CW. You were playing Grand Gambit for the last hour. You're gonna go back to that.
I've got to admit, I was pretty deep in Grand Gambit before this video started, so I was having a bit of fun on there. It was good.
And the worst of it is you're doing the coin flip, CW. That's like the most degen kind of gambling you can ever do.
Well,
50-50,
well, it's simple,
just
simple
bam.
odds, 50-50, straight down the line. Just let it ride. Happy days. And
Oh.
always tails. That's my tip. Always
Oh,
tails.
oh boy.
Good
All
to
right.
have a bit of fun in the ecosystem.
Of course, of course. All right, so next we have, and this was a pre-recorded. You might tell my shirt's going to magically change colors in a minute. I didn't have any foresight to keep the same shirt on and make it look like it was the same. But while CW was sleeping, we rugged him and we interviewed. I interviewed Marty and Luivatra from Paideia, essentially, and Ergo Pad. And it's a pretty good interview. We tried to keep it as short as we could, but you know how we suffer with that. But we'll meet you back after that. I hope you enjoy it.
Enjoy, guys.
Alrighty, thanks for joining us, guys. With us today, I'd like to introduce Marty and Louie. And if you guys don't mind starting out with a quick intro of who you are, what you do, and kind of a little base about how you got into crypto. Marty, let's start with you.
Yeah, hey guys, I'm Marty. I'm founder of ErgoPad and Paideia. I got into crypto almost 10 years, I guess 10 years ago now, when I was young and idealistic and believed in the libertarian philosophies behind it. And it was only in the past couple of years where we started to work on our own projects. And so now we're here. We've got ErgoPad that's been running for over a year. Paideia is about a year into dev, and we're hoping to release soon. So that's me.
Fantastic. And Louie, I'd like to just say for the audience that this is Louie's first time ever on camera. And I'd like to mention too that this is the first time Marty's ever seen Louie on camera. So Louie, welcome your face on camera. If you could please introduce yourself, let us know how you got into crypto.
You can thank my wife's laptop for that. That's also a reason I don't have a webcam. Yeah, I'm Luivatra. I have not been in crypto as long as Marty. I've had a career in traditional finance, working at a bank, mostly because I got a family right after university. So instead of doing what I studied, which was games, I thought, okay, maybe something a little bit more stable. So I got into banking. I even worked at the Danish taxes, and then dabbled, well, mostly during my whole career, I've dabbled with the AI, data mining and stuff like that. So actually I got into crypto because I thought, oh, it must be easy to make money making a trade bot, right? So I tried trading Bitcoin, didn't go so well. Wasn't as easy as I had hoped, funnily enough. But that did guide me into crypto. I have no idea how. I just got into Cardano for like 5 minutes. Somehow, somewhere, saw something about Ergo, looked into it, and never looked back.
Yep.
So yeah, and then I just did a bunch of community stuff while still working my normal fiat job. And then Marty asked, do you feel like working for ErgoPad? I was like, oh yeah.
How long ago was that, Louie?
That was, what was that? Around the start of
January 22?
Yeah, start of 22, yeah. Start of last year.
So you started
it feels like 10 years ago.
Yeah, in this market for sure. So you started on ErgoPad with helping build ErgoPad up?
Well, actually, I started on ErgoPad by buying into the seed round. And then between the seed round and was it the strategic or something, I started working on the staking and or the first of the vesting contracts. So between the seed round and the strategic round, I joined ErgoPad.
Very nice. All right, so let's dive right in. And Marty, if you could answer this one. for everybody. Give me your definition of a DAO.
Besides the obvious decentralized autonomous organization, I think it's just a group of people who can pool their resources, and the decisions are protected by some kind of code where it's difficult or impossible for a few individuals to take the money and make decisions without the approval of all the other individuals or the majority of the other individuals. So to me, a DAO is basically similar to a real corporation, except that everything is protected by smart contracts. All decisions are transparent and uncorruptible because they're controlled by code rather than by people.
Tell me how the heck, in simple terms, you program something like that where everybody has a say in what happens, and then programmatically and hopefully decentralized, that decision is made and enforced.
Well, first you take 12,000 lines of Scala code. Now, at least for the way I have implemented it, that the big thing on Ergo, I think, for Paideia is AVL trees, or plasma, as it's called as well.
Can you dumb that down a little bit before you keep going forward?
Yeah, an AVL tree, I don't know, you've probably downloaded something before where you could also download like an MD5 sum of the file, which is just a short string of hexadecimals or characters.
It's essentially an algorithm run against a file, and you get a hash out of it. And if the file changes, then all the hash changes, so you know the file's different.
Exactly. So the way an AVL tree is something similar, where you store the hash on chain, and you can either a tree in data science or in computers is just a data structure where you can store data in it. Basically, you can store data in it like a database, but data or storage on the blockchain is expensive. So you don't want to store thousands of gigabytes of data, or even just a gigabyte of data just for one little thing on blockchain. So with an AVL tree, you can store the 1 gigabyte of data in the tree, and then only store the hash on chain, which is great. But the great thing about AVL trees is that you can, in Ergo scripts, so in the smart contracts in Ergo, you can perform operations using this hash, so the one that is stored on chain, so you know that it's correct, and a proof that someone brings from outside the chain, from off chain. So off chain, you have the whole 1 gigabyte of data. You say, okay, I want to prove on chain that this piece of data is inside this 1 gigabyte, and I want to change it to something else according to some rules that you specify in the contract. Then you take this proof to the chain. You say, okay, before the hash was this, and using this proof, I can say that it's correct that I changed this piece of data to that other piece of data. And the result of that is a new hash that is stored in the output. So basically what you do is, instead of the blockchain or the transaction having to know about all this 1 gigabyte of data, all it has to know about is this little piece of data that you're changing. And you can do that with using a fraction of the data instead of the whole.
So in fairness, though, you're telling the blockchain what that hash is. In fairness, can't you do whatever you want off chain and then present new hashes to the blockchain saying that's what happened when it might have not happened? How do you get around that?
So I mean, either you could, if you do it like that, then you're basically building a layer 2 with a periodic linking to the layer 1. But in that case, you would need to have a bunch of nodes on the layer 2 to
So you're saying
have
you'd
it
have to have
decentralized, right?
a huge layer 2 saving all that
Yeah.
data, passing up the sync to the hash on the chain. I gotcha.
Yeah,
So
but what we're doing is that in the smart contract we specify what is allowed to happen to this AVL tree. So if I want to change it and I want the blockchain to accept it, I need to tell it, okay, for example, if you want to stake some governance tokens in a DAO, you have to do that in a specific way that is defined in the smart contract. So the only way to change this hash is by telling or using a transaction that changes the hash in a verified way. So in the smart contract, it says, okay, if we have a hash, the current hash that is known, but if we know, or if someone wants to stake their governance tokens, then we know that it should be done like this, so they can't cheat and suddenly have 2 times more token staked than they actually brought to the table.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that in order for the hash to change, something on chain has to happen with governance tokens, allowing that hash to change, so that can change the hash. It's not like off chain a decision is being made and being pushed. I mean, the code's being done off chain and presenting a new hash to the chain, and then people with their vote tokens are making that allowed via the smart contract.
Yeah.
So at any time, somebody can compare the hash to the data off chain and verify that that's a case, and that's where their governance tokens are actually going to make that change.
Exactly.
That is how long did that take you to figure out, Louis?
It took me a long time, actually. Well, I mean, as far as I know, the AVL trees have been there since the beginning. And I think Scalar Hub came with some off layer 2 bank example using it, which gave me a little bit of a inkling of how it worked, but it was really Chiefs Enthusiasts Plasma library that really made it click, and also provided the tooling that made it easy. It's still not easy. I mean, it's much easier not to use AVL trees, and just because then all you're doing is, okay, I look at the input and I know what I have to make out of the output. You don't have to build a huge data set off chain and make sure that it's in sync with the on-chain one and so on. It's a bit of a headache, but the big benefit is that you can have for our current staking solution for ErgoPad, you have thousands of UTXOs, each with their own little stake in it, and it's a headache to keep track of, and it's using a lot of space on chain. Where with this solution we can have millions of stakers in one small box. Of course, it will take a million transactions to get them in there, but it's possible. And having a million stakers in our current setup, that would not fly.
Okay, Marty, give me a real use example of how you envision. Take a project, for example, could be Aneta, could be Aircube, could be Ergoport, could be Spectrum, anybody. Give me an example of how you envision these guys using this either for the community or also just for their own internal decisions for starting a team.
Let's start with the community one. I think it's a great example. It's very timely because recently there's been a few DAO decisions made which were not necessarily what the community wanted.
You want me to cut this? Just kidding, keep going, Marty. If I think you're talking about what you're talking about, but keep going.
Oh, isn't there? It's not on Ergo.
Oh, okay,
Although you can think about that too. I mean, I'm not going to go into any detail or name any names, but if you have funds that you say to the community, like, these are community-owned funds, and the community will get to choose what happens to them, and then you go to the community and say, the team wants to use either $1 million of these or $1.5 million of these, but you don't get to say, no, you can't have either. You just get to choose whether we take 1 or 1.5. I mean, that's not really in the, it's not, you know, how do you say it? How do you say this correctly? It's not like what the community doesn't want those choices, right? They want to say, no, don't take the funds, or, you know, take 100K, right? They want to have the option to veto this vote because they think it's BS. So what Paideia does is says, you know, here's your options, or no, forget it, like come back with a better proposal. And the money is locked in a smart contract. It's not like the people who hold that money can just say, well, we didn't really like the outcome of that vote, so we're going to do it anyway. Or, oh, that vote was just to be nice, so we've already done it. Like some people have done in the greater crypto environment recently. You can probably find that out quite easily who it was. But it's like they basically said when they were raising the funds, this is a DAO, this is community-owned money, and we're going to let you guys vote on what we do with it. And then later they backtracked and said, no, we just we gave you the option to tell us what you felt, but we don't really care because we've already decided to do it this way. That was never a DAO. And actually, that's one of the reasons the US government's regulations have been difficult to deal with, is that because they know it's all bullshit. I mean, half of DeFi is not DeFi. It's centralized. Okay, I mean
3/4, 99%.
A proportion of DeFi is not DeFi, and a maybe smaller proportion of it is DeFi, right? Very little of it is actually just on chain, where when you interact with it, you're just, I mean, what we do in ErgoPad is when you're interacting with our smart contracts, if you go to the ErgoPad website, I mean, there's no real reason you have to. You could build those transactions yourself. All our code's open source. You could completely eliminate our website and still interact with all our smart contracts. You know, that's not always the case, because in certain areas, you don't need that level of decentralization. Like if you're selling an NFT mint, it's like you're buying it from a person. So technically there's a peer-to-peer transaction there. So if you want to centralize it around the person who's selling those tokens, that's fine. But in things like, you know, decentralized finance, where you want somebody to be able to access their funds, they never lock it in a smart contract that they can't get it out of. Same with raising money, right? If I raise money for a DAO, then that money should be in a DAO's treasury, and all the decisions made about that money should be related to a vote that the community has based on the predetermined, you know, if we said that one token is one vote, then that should count for one vote. And if you decide that we need a quorum of 20% and we need a 51% vote to pass a proposal, then that needs to be the case, right? It's a decentralized autonomous organization. If you remove the autonomy, it's no longer, you know, if you remove the automation, it's no longer a DAO. Now it's just a board of directors, like you said before. It's a corporation with a few decision makers, and they've just basically lied to you. So we're building the tools where we force these people who are going to say, I'm a DAO, I'm raising money as a DAO, I'm going to be transparent with how that money is spent. They have to be. Once they've made those decisions and they put it on Paideia, there's no way around the smart contracts, in theory, we hope. And we're going to test them a lot to make sure that that's the case. But it eliminates, the whole point of a DAO is to eliminate that human element. It's to eliminate corruption. It's to eliminate the opportunity for people to lie to you and not be transparent about their decisions. And it'll help the overall crypto community to have tools in place that do this.
That's awesome. That's a great way to put it. Louis, tell me how, on a simple technical term, tell me how you can verify that I'm voting with a specific governance token, and somebody can't just take this smart contract and write a transaction with a token with the same name and try to execute that contract with those keys.
That's, I mean, I would say it's easy, but it would also be easy to to forget. something like that in your smart contract.
Well, I'm saying
I
with
mean-
your well-written smart contracts, how, just for the layman's users
Yeah.
who are out who
well-
have no idea about token IDs or anything like that, how does your smart contract guarantee that a certain set of keys are dealing with a smart contract to sign it, and that the proper token is being used
So-
to do that vote?
So the funny thing is actually when you're dealing with smart contracts on Ergo and you're dealing with tokens, you don't know what that token is called. A token name is actually stored in some box that has long been spent, and it's just been picked up by some database, usually the Explorer database, and that is why it knows what this token is called. But when you're working with it in a contract, you're dealing with a long string of characters that is unique, and that it's guaranteed unique. If it's not unique, then we have more issues on Ergo.
So
than
Ergo
just
won't
that.
let you mint a new token with
No.
an already existing token ID.
Exactly. You can only mint a token once on Ergo, and it's a unique ID every time. So as long as you check for this token ID, then you know it's the correct one.
And what's signing the smart contract? Are there who holds the keys to sign the smart contract? Members of the DAO or some other thing? Or
On Ergo, you don't sign a smart contract as long as the Ergo script or the Ergo tree is a better term for it. As long as that one is satisfied with the conditions that are present in the transaction, then it is allowing that transaction to pass.
so you can sorry, go for it.
Yeah. So normally, there are special cases where you do need to sign it with a private key. Most people know these special cases much better than the smart contracts, because it's what's in their wallet, right? Those are also guarded by a smart contract, but this smart contract is basically saying a transaction needs to be signed by this private key. Otherwise, I'm not going to be allowing this transaction to happen. But in a smart contract, it could basically be checking the time of the previous block, and it could say, as long as the time is past September 15th, then I don't care where you sent the funds that are in this box. As long as it's past December 15th, 2024, then just send it away. You don't have to sign anything. So you need to, when you're creating a smart contract on Ergo, you need to set up a set of rules that need to be satisfied before it can pass a transaction. That is probably easier to make bulletproof than a regular program like it would run on EVM, for example. But it's also very easy not to miss something. So it's just important to understand that smart contracts on Ergo are not guaranteed to be bulletproof. They need to be well made.
So it's something like, it could be as simple as, if this private key is part of the signing process, release the fund or allow the TX to go wherever the hell you want it to. Or it could be more complex in saying, if this block height has been reached and this wallet has the votes, then send to whatever wallet was designated. Or if this wallet has the votes, more votes in this wallet, and the block height is there, send to this wallet. So you can, when somebody comes to Paideia and makes a vote, is the code in the background wrapping and creating a smart contract right there for them to work with right there, like automatically through the background? That's what your code is doing?
Yeah, basically. And so basically there is a smart contract that is handling like it's handling the DAO itself, holding tokens in that box that can like verify official votes and official proposals from that belong to this DAO. So that's unique per each DAO made in Paideia. So when someone wants to create a proposal in their DAO, they basically ask their DAO smart contract, okay, I want to take one of these proposal tokens and create a proposal with that. The DAO smart contract then checks, okay, is the smart contract they want to put this proposal token in, is that one of the smart contracts that is whitelisted by the DAO? Okay, that's fine. What about the actions? So if a proposal could potentially have multiple options, but option number 0 should also always be nothing is going to happen. It's just people have voted, the quorum has been reached and so on, but they didn't want anything to happen out of this proposal. But one of the other options, it could have an action linked to it, which will be its own smart contract, and that one will have an action token in it. But the DAO will only allow that one to be made if it's a smart contract that is whitelisted by the DAO. And whitelisting a smart contract by a DAO, it happens through a vote. You will start off with some defaults, of course, otherwise you can't do anything. A default will be updating the configuration of the DAO, which will be used to whitelist new actions, new proposal types, and so on, which allows the DAO to decide for themselves, okay, do we want to upgrade to the new version of the proposal, or do we want to use some other type of proposal instead of the basic one?
So typically I see in chats, in the dev chats all the time, you know, people write smart contracts, they're asking for Kushti and MHS Sam to review, and you guys are letting code write a smart contract and set it free into the wild immediately. How do you sleep at night, Louis?
Well, I mean, it's
I'd be so anxious and nervous.
I mean, it's not written on the fly. I mean, it's based on a template, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I mean, that template exists somewhere, right? And it's not immutable, that template, is it? Or is it immutable on the blockchain? It's pulling a smart contract template from the blockchain, or is it pulling it from a database that's corruptible?
The hash of the smart contract is stored on chain.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
okay.
Immutable. It's immutable
It's immutable.
in that
All right.
sense. Yeah.
Gotcha. So everything you guys do like that, the hash is stored on the chain, so it can
Yeah.
be compared to and safe.
Yeah.
That's okay. I see how
So
you sleep at night.
the configuration of a DAO, including Paideia itself, is stored in an AVL tree. Basically, just a map with configuration. What do you call that? Field name and a value to it. And there's all kinds of configurations. It can be like how long is a staking period, like how long between each emission of staking rewards, to okay, which proposal smart contracts do we have whitelisted, which actions do we have whitelisted. So it's all kinds of different values that are stored in this configuration, but it's all stored in this one box per DAO. And also, yeah, like the Paideia DAO itself is in the system. It's it acts as a normal DAO, but it's a special case because in some cases the other DAOs will need to have information from the Paideia DAO, like we will have some feeds on creating a proposal or creating a DAO itself, which are configurable by the Paideia DAO. So they will have to ask the Paideia.
Who's part of the Paideia DAO?
Anyone that's the Paideia holder.
Okay, gotcha.
Um,
That is neat. All right. Two questions. One quick one and then another one. And any of you can answer this, I guess. Am I limited to, if I have a DAO, am I limited to running one vote at a time based on the outputs of, let's say, I mean, because that's not gonna, because you're not actually giving your tokens when you vote, you're actually just signing a transaction that says holding these tokens are voting on this vote, or how does that work?
So you can have multiple votes at the same time. When you're voting on a proposal, you lock your stake key in a smart contract and get a vote key out of that. This vote key is an NFT, so it has a unique token ID. And when you're voting on a proposal, your vote gets stored in, surprise, surprise, an AVL tree that belongs to that proposal. And an AVL tree, it works with keys and values. So the key to your vote will be your vote key, your token ID of your vote key. So that's unique. And it can only have one value linked to that key, because you can't have two entries in an AVL tree with the same key. They would override each other, which is possible if you want to change your vote. So that way it's only possible to vote once on one proposal, but you can vote on another proposal because that has its own AVL tree storing all the votes happening.
Okay. And what happens? Sorry, go for it.
Yeah. So then when you vote on a proposal, the proposal will have like a time attached to it saying the proposal runs until this point in time. When you vote on it, this smart contract that you have locked your stake key in is part of that transaction. And if the proposal ending time is later than the current time stored in that smart contract, it gets updated. So let's say you vote on one proposal that ends on coming Sunday, then your stake key will be locked in that contract until coming Sunday. So you can't go and vote on something, take your stake key out of your smart contract, remove your tokens, create a new stake key, create a new vote key, and then vote again with the same tokens, basically. So your tokens are locked until the longest running proposal that you have voted on ends. If you want to get out of the DAO, then you need to stop voting on proposals and
Okay.
to be able to remove your tokens.
And what happens if, there's no checks and balances in it? That would be hard to write for, that if, let's say they put up 2 votes, the DAO puts up 2 votes and it is for spending more money than they have in the DAO treasury. So if one votes for 55% of the funds to go here and the other votes for 65% of the votes funds to go here, what happens? Whatever contract's executed first is the one that's honored? Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other one will just air out on the transaction.
Yeah.
Or that contract.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. That's impossible to guard against, I'm sure, kind of thing. Or
Well, if you
would be really...
if you did it the other way, like if you locked up the funds in the vote, then somebody could just keep putting votes through that lock up the funds, right?
Oh.
To spend
So-
100% of the treasury, yeah.
Yeah, they could like completely freeze the DAO just without even trying, really.
Yeah, I agree. At some points you have to let the community, not hold their hands so much. They need to be somewhat sane and I mean, I know that's a lot to ask of a user, but but it is tough. What
Nothing
are
will
you,
go wrong.
yeah, what are your plans? So, all I see you guys on are your Ergo side. What are your outreaches into the Cardano community, Marty, and like your plans for embracing that as well and coming out on that dual chain?
Well, we've done a little bit of outreach on the Cardano side. We've had some conversations. I did an interview about it as well. And I've been doing it. I've been mentioning it in interviews that I had for other projects. But we haven't done anything serious yet. We've been finishing we want to finish the Ergo MVP for one thing. We're finishing another NFT project that we've been working on that should be done in a week or two probably. And then we're going to change up because a lot of the white paper and a lot of the website is very Ergo-centric, and we want to make Paideia more blockchain agnostic. We've started on Ergo, but I think it's a tool that could be used on other blockchains. So we're
At least you didn't have Ergo in the name like Spectrum did.
Yeah.
Or ErgoPad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, ErgoPad. Oh, sorry. I was thinking of Paideia. Spectrum
no,
Pad.
We'll
Or not just ErgoPad, it could be.
not just ErgoPad, Ergo and others, Ergo and Friends Pad. We're looking into, I'll generalize the website, I'll generalize the white paper, make it a little more agnostic, and then we're going to start promoting a lot more on the Cardano side. We're looking into BSC and potentially some other EVM chains, and see if there's a reception over there, because there's really no strong DAO tools out there. There are some decent ones, but I think Paideia offers a little bit more.
That's actually going to be my next question about what else is out there for DAOs. And
I don't want to go
Discord.
Discord.
Well, I saw on Cardano they were using Google Docs for their votes.
I mean, it's obvious there's a need for this kind of thing if that's what's happening.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like you use what tools you have at your disposal, but if we can give a better tool and give it to everyone, then we may as well, right? I'm sure there's demand for it, and the beauty will be that we'll have a full MVP on Ergo, so we can show we're a team that's capable of getting this to the finish line, and you can use it now. You can see how it looks. We'll be making videos that show the functionality, because when you're interacting with the web interface, you don't care if that's Ergo based or Cardano based or EVM. It'll look the same to the end user. And that's kind of one of our other goals, is that an end user doesn't. I mean, if you want a mass adoption, you need to remove close the hood on what's going on under. Nobody cares how the engine runs in their car. They just want to know, are they going to get from point A to point B, right?
Sound like Steve Jobs right here, Marty. Put some
He
shine
that?
over it. No, something like that.
It's true though.
You do need to know if it's diesel or gas.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to try and log into Ergo-based Paideia with your EVM wallet, right?
I'm sure plenty of people will.
You don't want to send Ethereum to an Ergo address; you might lose it. There's things you need to know, right? I mean, but we need to eliminate those barriers to entry in order for mass adoption to take place. And we need to explain to people what the use case could be in their everyday lives, because there's quite a few of them.
Yeah, I think one of the disadvantages of being in the Ergo ecosystem right now is that you're presented with a lot of developers, a lot of community developers, and a lot of enthusiasts. So you take for granted that people can figure stuff out pretty easily under the hood, whereas the majority of people you guys are going to be marketing to, Apple users essentially in that respect, where they don't want to know what's going on under the hood. Yeah.
You're gonna get canceled.
You're gonna piss off like 80% of your user base. Maybe not in Ergo. Maybe there's more Android users than Ergo.
Well, Android at least lets you look under the hood a little bit. I'm saying Apple doesn't.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I mean, you can install your custom ROMs, that kind of thing. So what? Tell me why would you put the work into going to an EVM chain as opposed to letting something like Rosen bring over users with a wrapped coin and using the wrapped coin on Paideia, on Ergo, or Cardano.
Maybe, well, we'll see. We'll see, because it depends on the demand. But I like the idea of giving people a token on Ethereum or on BSC and then letting them wrap it and using Ergo because of the extra security features, and because, you know, we can build a really strong, safe DAO management software suite on Ergo, and you don't have to pay gas fees, which is really nice. I mean, when we were doing our research for Paideia, I used some of the other tools that were out there, and I was using test Ethereum on testnet, and it was like 1,600 in gas fees just to launch a DAO, right? And then you ask people to vote, and they have to vote. How many people are going to pay $60 in gas?
It's hard not to get people to vote anyway. I
You
mean,
know,
goodness.
nobody cares, right? Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, like, that's another thing, is that the number of people who will actually vote, even when there's no barriers, it can be quite low, right? I mean, people are busy. So if you actually read our white paper, we talk about that a little bit in some of the governance structures that we want to implement later. When we first launch Paideia, it's just going to be everyone can vote on all proposals, everyone can submit proposals, but there's other versions. I mean, there's optimistic governance, which assumes that you basically whitelist a few individuals who you think are making decisions in the best interest of the DAO. And the DAO gets to choose who these people are. And they're the only ones that can make a proposal, first off. So most people won't be making proposals. And you don't need them to, because you've already decided as a group that these people are going to be a pretty good management team. And then when these people make their proposals, we assume after 5 days that they pass, if nobody says, no, I don't like this. So you don't need to vote on them typically, right? But as long as you're paying attention, as long as one person notices a scam or a malicious proposal before those 5 days pass and says, hey, no, we want to bring this to a vote, they can, right? And then everyone has to vote on it. And it'll assume to be a failure if the vote doesn't meet quorum. So like if somebody was whitelisted as a leader of the DAO and they say, we want to take all the money out, you have 5 days to say, no, we don't like that, vote on it. And then if that vote doesn't pass, then they don't get to take all the money out. But usually the people you voted for who have the best interest of the DAO in mind are going to be proposing good things. And so we don't have to vote on all those things. And so there's various ways such as that one where you can kind of eliminate does that make sense? Did I explain that well enough?
That does. I'd only ask that if you start enforcing that as an option, not enforcing, but if you start offering that as an option on Paideia, the optimistic governance protocol, if you could also allow, when votes are created, to mint a token that is attached to I don't know if there's some data into it, to an NFT or an NFT token, but that's multiples, not non-fungible, that has a write out or a link to the proposal that's done, and it's airdropped to all holders of that token for the governance. So it's a way for everybody with a wallet that has the governance tokens in their wallet to get an incoming transaction and be like, oh shit, what's this? Oh wait, they're trying to take all the damn treasury money. Let me go check that out, kind of thing.
Yeah. On-chain notifications is an interesting problem that we want to tackle. But that's also part of, that's part of what we'd like to build, is software that the user can run, like say on their phone or on their computer, where they don't need our servers to be active in order to get those notifications from the blockchain or from a DAO, right? So that's an interesting problem we'd like to tackle as Paideia as a platform grows.
I gotcha. So no off-chain bots or anything like that pushing
There is off-chain bots. There are off-chain bots.
You know, if you keep track of the AVL trees.
Yeah. That's one thing about UTXO, is that you can't tell a smart contract that in 1 week from now, tally up the votes and then do something. Somebody has to go and push the transaction a week from now onto the chain. And so that's what the off-chain bots are. So we financially incentivize people, and these are anybody in the world can run a bot. We financially incentivize them to come back in a week and push those transactions to the chain. So you're kind of automating, you have to automate the transactions. that are supposed to happen in the future, they still have to meet the criteria that the smart contract says. So it's not like somebody can come and push their own decision through, but they have to submit those transactions that are waiting to happen. And so we have off-chain bots. So that's one financial incentive to run off-chain bots. And those off-chain bots could maybe also run a notification system so that people could run software on their own devices that don't rely on our servers.
Like the fridge.
Yeah. Idea fridge. But then, there's lots of options, right? I mean, we'll work it out.
Yeah, that is pretty neat. Well, anything you guys want to add before we, I think we're close to our time now. Anything you guys want to add or shout out there about Paideia, or not just ErgoPad that you haven't had a
join
chance to
us.
say?
Join us in Telegram, join us on Twitter. Come say your piece, because you know, this is a community built project. It's meant to be a community run project, and we'd love to hear from you. So if you have feedback, if anything I said sounds like something you don't like, or if you have suggestions on how we can do it better, let us know.
And where can you get ErgoPad right now? Sorry, not ErgoPad. Paideia, you can, there's a liquidity pool on Spectrum if you want to join to prep, if you want to be part of the DAO in the future to get
That's
tokens.
Right. Yeah, Spectrum Finance, and you can get Paideia there. And you can stake it on ErgoPad at the moment until the Paideia platform is live. Then you can stake it over on Paideia.
I think it's 10%, right? Right now still.
Don't
I just
know.
ran the
Yeah,
command.
it was yeah, I think so. 10.5, yeah, 10%, 10.5.
10%, not bad. And what happens, I mean, is so before Paideia is launched, all the remaining tokens go into a go into the DAO treasury for Paideia.
The ones that are meant to be will be in the DAO treasury. Yeah. We'll
Okay, so
do some testing first without putting everything in there.
so everything that's out is out right now. The only free tokens have been distributed with airdrops, are in the liquidity pool. Nothing else is going to be coming down from you guys besides in the form of staking rewards.
I think there's like maybe a month or two left of team token distribution, but yeah, it should be distributed. You can see all the tokenomics on the website, paideia.im.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me. We're gonna tag this onto our normal Sigma update with CW in a little bit, and we'll see you guys around chats. Thanks so much.
Everyone.
Thank you for having us.
Take care.
All right, we're back. That was a fun time. I missed you, CW, during that interview, but you know, you got to sleep. What can you do?
That's it, mate. It's a scarce commodity, and I've got to trade it very, very well. So yeah, thanks for taking that one.
If anybody wants to, please go to Paideia .im and click launch app in the upper right. And you can see there's about 6 DAOs in there, test DAOs in there. You can click around, just get a feel for the UI and what it looks like. And stay tuned for any announcements they have on their channel for any further testing or anything like that. It's always fun to hop on and do those kind of early tests and really be part of the, you know, the ground floor of all this kind of stuff that anybody can be. It's super neat.
Yeah, most definitely. And I encourage everyone to jump in and provide that testing assistance, because everyone's skill levels at different stages, and it can give it often a really good insight in regards to the user experience, user interface, and things like that. So where a developer would think of the logic and think it's very, very clear, you put that in the hands of a user and it could be so far out of left field. So encourage everyone of every skill level to be able to jump on there and provide some testing assistance, because it does go a long way.
All right, well, that's a wrap. CW, you want to take away what people can look for the rest of the week? Or next week, I guess, since we're so late in the week.
Yeah, so next week, how do we kick things off? We've got we will hopefully be back on with the Hash It Out series. So we've been able to we haven't been on for the last couple of weeks, and what happened is we basically got rugged by daylight savings. So the guys Armenio and Noah in the US, they actually they went forward an hour.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yep.
Spring forward, yep. And then I went back an hour. So there's a 2-hour difference from when we normally record. And that puts those guys at sort of 11:30, 12 or so in the evening. which is getting pretty late, and so we just need to organise a new time for that. So hopefully we'll be back this week when we can sort of organise when everyone's available. So that's normally released on sort of
Whenever you
Wednesdays or
feel
so.
like it.
Yeah, as soon as whenever the editing and all that sort of stuff's complete. Wednesdays we've got the developer update and the marketing updates, so by all means jump in there and participate where applicable. Thursdays we have the live stream, AMA, and the weekly update
On Twitter too.
I've been a bit slack on that one, to be
Oh
honest.
no,
regards-
CW.
I have, like I said a little bit earlier, sleep's a scarce commodity. So I've been taking I've been a little bit slack and sort of taking some earlier nights. I'll have to get back on there for that one, that's for sure. What else do we have? We have the weekly developer updates. That's on Sundays. I think
Forgot
that's
this
about
show.
it. How can I forget this? We've got the SIG update. But when's this going to be released? You tell me.
CW, whenever the hell I feel like getting it done.
Yeah. So yeah, you'll see this video when it comes out.
Oh boy. Okay, and I think there was some talk about firing up. No. Is there an on in chat topic coming up this week or next week? Or are those kind of slowing down? That takes a lot of developer time.
Yeah, so we're actually in the process of rescheduling those to make them on Reddit, like a community chat.
Right,
But we're
right.
going to do that on the 1st of every month. So we're just in the process of sort of getting all that set up currently, and the first one will be on the 1st of May. So what that'll entail is just basically create a thread on Reddit. Anyone can ask any question. The community members can jump in there and communicate and answer questions that they want to see fit. But basically the core or the foundation team and the core devs, project leads, etc., can jump in on the 1st and answer any questions that anyone has. So it's just a matter of sort of tying all of that together, and I'll announce that maybe even this week. So hopefully
really
that'll
cool.
all be coming together.
Then we could also hit some of the good questions on here with some good answers briefly.
very, very good
to highlight
point.
those.
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds good.
All right. Well, it's good to be back, CW, and I hope all of you have a nice week coming up. Enjoy. Good to see all of you.
Pleasure chatting once again, mate. And thanks everyone for tuning in. It's been fun. Have a good one.